Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to Startup Grind, the November event. My name is Saleh Almusalam, I'm the co-founder of Sirdab Lab. If you're not familiar with the Startup Grind events, basically they're interviews with startup founders it's a global community of events, and the intention is to learn from local startup founders to make sure that we realize the opportunities and potential within the city that we live. And with us today is Saleh Almusalam. He's the CEO and co-founder of the Ghaseel app. And today we'll be talking to him about his entrepreneurial journey. Welcome, Saleh. It's a difficult word.
Thank you, Haider. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you all for coming. Inshallah, I'll try my best to make it as useful as possible.
Thank you. So to start off with, if you can give us some background into your career, the projects or companies that you worked on.
Okay. I graduated in 2010 from GUST, from Kuwait, with the MIS major, the Management Information System. And after 2 months, I got employed in one of the investment companies for 3 months. And before the probation period, I decided to quit and start my own company for software development. It was called Prodesign. And we kept developing apps for companies with my brother, my co-founder, Ghaseel, up until 2014. At that time, we saw so many apps being developed and grow. So I decided not to focus on developing apps for companies, but to start my own companies and basically building an app that could grow much more and more. Throughout the years from 2011 to 2015, before starting Ghaseel, we developed many apps. One of them was called InstaFan. And it was the shift of the thinking of building something big, because we got a few millions of downloads at that time. It was really good.
Oh, wow. What was the app for?
It was, the idea was simple: to log in with your Instagram account and to see who your biggest fan is based on the interaction happened between you and your followers. We launched the app. At that time, I remember I traveled to Paris and I met the CEO of Instagram, Kevin.
Okay.
And it was in the same week. So no one knows about our app at that time. I met him and I told him, "Hi, Kevin." It was a conference. We just launched our new app that's built on top of your platform. And I'm a fan of Instagram. I hope this goes somewhere. And he was like, "Oh, wow, nice." But he was busy, so we took a selfie together and that's it. After 2 weeks, no one used the app except my friends and my family. And then when I checked on the app, I found that the share button was broken because of a new update.
Okay, yeah.
Once we fixed it, we got many thousands of downloads every day. Because if you log in and share that result on your Instagram, all your followers would see it.
Okay.
If you take only 3 or 4 out of them and they do the same, you will get an exponential effect.
Okay, so the virality of it was based on the way it functions. It's built into the way it works, right?
Yes, and allowing people to share the content and make others to do the same, and therefore the app was I remember in one day we got 60,000 downloads in one day. And for 2 weeks, every day we get 30,000 downloads on average, and ranked 16 on the American App Store. In Australia was one of the top one of the top countries. Brazil, Saudi, Spain.
And the virality of it was based purely on users. You didn't market it, nothing.
We didn't pay anything on marketing. It's just because it's built on a social network app, so we had to use that factor and allow people to share to get use of the free marketing for the app. It's a long story. Facebook acquired Instagram at that time and did so many limitations, like they asked us to change the app name, to get rid of the trademark, change the logo. So we started to feel that it's not a scalable or an app that we can rely on. So we filled it up with ads, and we got many checks by the end of the month from Google. It was a good salary for me and my brother.
Okay, excellent. Yeah. And just out of curiosity, how did you learn how to develop? Was it through your university degree or?
Okay, I bought my first PC when I was 14, at the time of Windows 95, and I think we're lucky that we lived the age of the internet. We used dial-up and then DSL, and we saw how the web pages evolved over time. So I started to play with the computer and design, get to read the codes of how to design web pages, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and I remember my first website around 2001, 2002.
Okay.
So I was 16, in the high school. I decided it was 2 years ahead before college, and I decided to study computer science in Kuwait University, and it was my first option. Unfortunately, I studied 3 years, and then I quit, and I transferred to GUST.
Okay.
It is a similar major, but it's focused on a combination between business and computer science, instead of only computer science or business. With the love of coding and knowing a bit about business, I found it a good combination in between them to start my tech startups.
Okay, but learning actual development you did on your own, online or?
I used to buy books at that time, also with some courses from KU, Kuwait University, and I remember in GUST also we studied Java, C++, I guess, system design, database design. But I kept coding because MIS doesn't make you really code. It makes you understand how to deal with developers and the top management of the company. Yes.
Okay.
But I used to consider myself as a techie or developer at that time. I still code. I love it if I have time.
Okay. So that was InstaFan. What other projects did you work on?
I remember my first app was a very small app that calculates the score of code procedure.
Okay.
It was also 2009 or 2010. I was in college before graduation, and I just put it on the App Store, and I made my I think it was like 500 KD by selling it for $2 from Apple.
Okay.
They take 30%, and they give 70%. So I thought it was fun. In school, in 1 or 2 months, I made 500 KD. So I kept trying other apps until I got it to the professional level in starting a business and developed apps for clients. One of the apps before Ghaseel was called Vonce. It's like voice note once. It was a voice sharing app. At that time, WhatsApp announced their voice notes feature. So Sometimes I get annoyed by the long voice notes sent by some of my friends.
We all do, I think.
Yeah. So I thought the idea was good to limit the voice note to 15 seconds and have a kind of combination between Snapchat, also it was new that day, by having a self-deleted voice notes. After you play it, it deletes itself, and having a 15-second. So people can express their whatever they want easily. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Only a few of my friends used it, and I decided to stop it and think of the new venture.
But out of curiosity, when did you decide that it wasn't working out and it's not worth pursuing? Because this is a challenge with many entrepreneurs. Like, when do you call it quits?
I joined one of the programs in San Francisco for 3 weeks, and that was my project that I went there to present to the mentors there, and it didn't get the right traction or impression. Especially after I came back, I thought it was not going anywhere, and that trip to San Francisco made me think really big and solve a real problem that many people face, instead of only you or your Duani are facing.
Okay.
So I decided to stop it and think of a real problem.
Okay, so that was Vonce, and then after Vonce, what did you move into?
It was early in 2015, I think in April. I met one of my friends, Abdulaziz Lambaib, and we talked about starting a laundry app. At that time was a new thing in Kuwait, and actually we developed the whole app together, and it was almost launched. And we had some, everyone has his own, got busy with his personal life for 2 months, 3 months. At that time, 3 or 4 apps got into the market with the same idea. So we stopped and took a step back, because it was not, we thought it was not worth it to do a laundry app. So we kind of built Ghaseel on top of the idea of laundry. It is in the same...
Similar model, a marketplace?
Yes.
But for car washes?
Yes, exactly. Until maybe the story of Ghaseel, if I can talk about it. The idea of Ghaseel was simple. I was driving back home, going back from work, and I found my neighbor was requested a car wash company to wash his car in front of his house. So after I looked at it and I went back home. After 15 minutes, I went out again, and I found another company in the same street in the corner, washing another car from another company, another neighbor. At that moment, many questions came into my mind, like which company is better than the other, which company has the payment method I want, like Canet or cash, what are the difference between them, who are ready to serve me at the time I want. Can they come after 1 hour, or I have to wait for 3 days? So many questions, and maybe also the rating, which one is better than the others. I started to talk to my friends and family about this problem, and the idea is clearly by designing a platform where users can get a car wash anytime and anywhere. Within 5 seconds you can place your order and get your car washed in the next hour. So the story started like that until one of my friends, Omar Uthman, he's here, he's my co-founder. He believed in the idea more than me because I liked the idea in the beginning, but the only issue was how many cars we can clean in a day if we grow. Is the market size enough to really build a business with that idea? So I meet Umar and he sometimes tells me, "Hi Saleh, why don't you make the Ghaseel thing, the car wash?" I tell him the same story. It's good, but it's not gonna be big enough. I need to think of something big. After 2 weeks, 3 weeks, he keeps talking about the same idea. And one day he came to me and said, "If you're not doing it, I'm gonna do it. If no one's gonna use it, if only my friends and family are going to use it, I'll be happy." I told him, "That's neat, and maybe we can do something." So he supported me in believing that we have to start and we don't know what's coming on later. Maybe you can add some other services, or maybe your feasibility study that it's just has it wasn't the right
Numbers.
yeah. So I told him, okay, let's do it. I'll be free to develop for 1 year, and after that I'll be away for 1 year. You have to handle this the operation, and then I'll come back and continue, inshallah.
Okay. And so the details of
Okay.
just setting it up.
Okay.
Sir, just to go back to the questions, the many questions you had, how did you find the answers to these questions?
Okay. The questions, after we decided to build it. You mean before we decide? Just the problem?
The questions, yeah, about the problem.
Okay. It's just by talking to my friends and family. Even my dad is also he supported me and the idea. He also supported. He told me, just do it, don't think a lot. And most of the problems we figured them out because we got the service providers, our partners, involved in the development, even the design stage while developing Ghaseel. Because many times we don't know what's the problems they face in the operation. Maybe they have enough customers, for example. Maybe they're not willing to really let them use Ghaseel and put their schedule, and they're full maybe. So by making them involved in the development stage, we got so many solutions for their problems. So every week, once we decided, we meet a company and we show them a very a non-functional app or design, but we pretend that it's working.
Okay.
And the first company I remember we met didn't believe in the idea because they thought they had many problems, and it's like they're helping us instead of
you helping them.
Yes.
Okay.
So we set a high standard level of developing and designing the app by thinking of what's the best companies in Kuwait, and we try to push the limits or the standards of the lower quality companies by providing them with a very functioning and high quality app that brings them high quality customers. So that's what I would add about getting companies involved in the development stage.
Okay. One question I get asked a lot is how many people, or how many, let's say in your case, vendors, do you need to ask before you actually settle or make a decision? Because if you ask maybe one company, or let's say 5 companies, they don't give you enough information or enough detail for you to base your decision on. So did you have a certain threshold where you had to speak to 10, 15, 20 companies?
I think if I go back, it was 4 years ago. I remember the number was around 10 companies to start with, and I think the first month we had average of 10 available companies in the app. And the good thing is when we make a new thing, a totally new solution, we have to think of how to make it easy for companies or partners to we don't have the demand. People are not using the app yet, but we need companies to get to add their schedule in the app so we can bring them users. This is the most annoying problem for any marketplace in the beginning. So by giving a very high value for companies with a very minimum efforts asked by them, they can be patient in the first month and second month because they're not getting enough orders, but yet we're asking them to, hey, we call them, add your schedule, probably you will get orders. So by giving them a very easy app to use, in a few seconds you can fill up your schedule for today. In the app you don't have to have a laptop or sit in the office to manage that. Everything is mobile because their businesses are mobile. It's very quick service.
And you mentioned you spent 1 year developing and then 1 year off.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about this off year?
The day
Follow back.
يقول شوي بقى عندك. The day I started ما في break. The day I started the day we agreed, Umar and myself, I remember there was an agreement, 1 page, like a term sheet, and the same time, he's my friend, but we both like to have everything written, and it helps both of us to know where we're going. So at the same day, I told him, Umar, I'm willing to take my MBA by the end of the next year. From now until 1 year, I will be with you developing the app. But I already signed in IB Business School in Spain, in Madrid. And I told him, I'm with you for 1 year. I will keep following up with you and develop the app during my MBA. I didn't know if that would work out in passing both of them. And then I will come back and meet you and decide if we both willing to continue with Ghaseel or not. Because we don't know from now if we will have enough traction back to the same problem of not knowing the market. He agreed, and I developed the app. He managed the operations during that year, and I remember I studied much less than working on Ghaseel in Spain. In between the classes, I opened the laptop and code. I think we launched the Android version from Spain. I developed it from there. We tested the app in Dubai. I was in Spain, Umar was in Kuwait. And it's tough, but we liked it.
Okay, but I'm curious to know why you chose to do an MBA.
I lived my whole life in Kuwait. I studied in Kuwait University and GUST. I studied in Hukuma all school years, but I always have that, I wouldn't say regret, but it's just, I feel like I missed living abroad.
Okay.
Even if I go for 1 year or 2 years, for me, I would do it because I would take from the cultures from out of Kuwait, meeting new people, and work hard on my soft skills by meeting. It's a totally different life when you live away for the first time. And why Madrid is the university is one of the top, and it is one of the most known by diversity. Many people from all over the world come to Spain to this college specifically. My class, we were 50, only 2 people from Spain.
Oh, wow.
So it was really useful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you feel like anything you learned or the experiences you had during the MBA fed into your business life, your outlook, skills, approach?
Sure. And one of the good things about this college is the entrepreneurial and startup support. So the good thing is I had started Ghaseel with Umar, and when I went to Spain, many of the projects we work on, my colleagues used to work on big companies or companies they had before, but I'm lucky that I presented Ghaseel during the year in so many presentations. We worked with my friends, my classmates there in developing Ghaseel and studying the problem and analyzing the data, the financials and all of that, which for sure applied and benefited us in Ghaseel. And our startup lab project was called Limpia. It's cleaning in Spanish. And we made a prototype to start Ghaseel as Limpia in Madrid. And actually we washed some cars with 3 of my friends, like Javier, Luis, Fran, and Luca. I hope they see it.
But you didn't continue with Ghaseel too?
No, because it's different. There are less cars. The weather is nicer there. It's expensive for them, and I mean the service is premium there. They get used to go to the station, and the streets are not don't have traffic as Kuwait. In Kuwait, if you leave your car for 1 day or 2 days, and you see the dust on it.
Yeah. By the way, perfect time to wash your cars.
Yeah. Make sure you get coupons by the end of this session.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So you coming back, what was the threshold you set for yourself on whether to continue working on Ghaseel or to quit?
The time I go back was August, and it was almost 2 years, and that's the time when we decided with Umar to continue or not. I think 2 years is enough to really know if your solution is really a good solution for the problem, if there is a problem or not, because you can see if you have enough traction and a growing traction month by month. If every
Sorry, how do you define good, or what's good enough for you to continue?
It wasn't easy to have a metric or a number at that time because nobody did it before Ghaseel. We didn't have any other competitors at that time to ask or to know and make the comparison. So I remember the graph. After 20 months or 24 months, if you see an inclining graph, without spending on marketing, people who use the app once, they keep using it every week or every month. That's another metric we should all make sure. And it depends on the nature of the app. We wash our cars almost every day. I would say every week. So if you are successful in getting people to wash their cars every week from your app, and you have a good enough amount of them, it means something. It means people can order 50 times a year, one person.
Okay.
Yeah. Like we do in the food delivery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the graph looked promising and you decided to stay?
Yes.
Okay. And when it comes to growing the business, how many people did you hire? How big is your team right now?
Now we're 7, and we're hiring. I think within 2 months we'll be around 10 to 12 in Kuwait, and half of the team is developers, and because we are a tech company, 100% a technology online platform. If we fail in automating many of the many of the processes that are done by humans, it means there is a problem.
You're not capitalizing on the technology.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like for example, if you have 1,000 orders a day, and you need 10 people to handle the customer's problems by calls, if you get 2,000 orders a day, you spend on marketing and get 2,000 a day, do you have to hire another 10 people?
Okay.
Or you can understand the problems of the customers and why they're calling, or why you have to call them, and understand that and try to automate and make that as a system instead of a human talking to the clients.
Okay, so part of the way I understand it, part of your hiring strategy or your philosophy is to automate as much as possible,
exactly,
rather than going to hire first.
Yeah, that's one of the values of the cultures, cultural values that we have in our company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have those cultural values explicitly defined? How do you approach developing or building a culture?
We all talk in the company together about any issue. For example, I talk to the customer service staff, and sometimes I ask them, if I ask you about the last 100 calls, what's the top issue that you're having? And they say, for example, 20% they want a refund because the weather was bad, they don't want to wash now. Some of them want credit. You can cancel all of those calls by developing a feature within the app to do that.
Okay.
So by talking to them, and really many times, I be very close and handle the customer service for 1 day or 2 days to get also the problems, and maybe I find something that was not delivered by the team, or sometimes it's the opposite. So by opening your eyes into all the aspects of the business, I think that's your role as a CEO who start the company in the beginning from scratch. You're not growing the company in the beginning, but you're building solutions in the beginning. So you have to really understand the problems.
Okay. And you're actually setting an example for the rest of the company. I'm curious about developing the culture itself. Do you focus on who to hire? Do you have a mission or vision statement? You don't have to. I'm just curious.
No, we don't have a mission and vision statements. But half of the team are developers, because our company is built. The core business of us is the platform so far.
Okay.
So we really focus on curating and perfecting the software design, which allows us to scale up and not having more problems in the future.
What do you think is the primary role of the CEO? How should the CEO spend their time?
Currently, after 4 years, I think most of the time is finding the right people to handle the growing tasks. In the beginning, the team, 2 or 3 people are enough to handle most of the problems. But as you grow up, you need to hire more people to solve every single problem. So most of the time, after you reach the product market fit, is how to find the right people and assign them to the right roles. In the beginning, the role of a CEO, I believe that if you're starting a company from scratch, is to do the technical part in the beginning. If you don't have enough funding, if you're not enough about the solution you have, you don't want to spend on marketing for a product that's not yet proven. So you have to really work hard on building the product yourself.
Okay. Be close to understanding the process.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. speaking of funding, did you get any external funding?
In the beginning, no. It was self-funded by Omar and myself. And we're getting sales. We were able to fund the company ourselves. And that's how we started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you open to getting investors on board?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Investors. Okay. I'm curious, since your business model is or the model of your business is a marketplace, it's very easy for vendors to approach customers directly, because as I understand, your business model is through commission. Like,
yes.
You get a percentage of every sale.
Yes.
What stops the vendors from just handing over their business card and taking on business outside of the platform?
You mean, why don't clients order from the vendors directly?
Or the vendors can approach the customers. So let's say I make a booking with one company. The company can easily tell me if you have any additional needs, or we can come to you on a weekly basis, and not use Ghaseel app.
I think many of the service providers, they developed their own apps already to receive orders from their apps, to also receive orders from WhatsApp, from calls. But I believe that's a problem that the solution is not easy. It's not their field. They focus on the car wash and the detailing. Okay. If they develop an app, there will be a lack of focus by building two companies, like a platform to market their company, and the wash and the staff problems that they need to do the hard work by hiring car washers and make sure that they're doing the wash service properly. And also another thing is they would need to spend a lot in marketing and build repetition. They also will have to do all of that. What we do is we tell them, if you want to start a new car wash company, just make sure you have whatever you need to do the job itself, and we will make sure that from day one you will receive enough orders to make your company profitable.
Okay.
Because we are reaching clients.
Okay. So we're taking the tech headache away from them.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And marketing, for sure.
And okay. Okay, I have just one more question about Ghaseel, and then I want your perspective on the general startup ecosystem, and then I'll open the floor to questions. So my Ghaseel question: what do you find to be the most challenging aspect of building a business?
A business in general?
Yeah, Ghaseel specific.
Oh, help me.
What's the most challenging part of building a business? What made you cry in the past? Why doesn't cry?
To be consistent.
To be consistent.
Yeah.
In terms of what? Quality, productivity?
You are a marketplace, so you are always facing the vendors and the clients. Sometimes there is a leakage when you build the platform, and then you have to maintain the marketplace positioning. This is the most challenging part we face.
Also being 24-hour online, having companies filling up their schedules, following up with the orders, because while we're talking, there are companies washing, car washers washing, cleaning cars now. We have to know exactly what's happening. That's also a challenge that we always try to make it more transparent in between all the parties of the platform, the car washer, the manager of the company, our customer service, and the developers, to make sure that the app is knowing everything. It is the platform itself, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and now I want your perspective on the ecosystem or entrepreneurship. What do you think are the most common mistakes that startup founders make?
I found many of startup founders, they start their marketing before they get the product market fit, or even before they get their solutions up and running properly. All what they do, we see in the billboards outside, a big marketing campaign of 10,000 or 30,000 KD or even more, and 10 influencers talking about the new company, and all of the customers, when they go download that app or visit that website, they don't like it. It doesn't function very well. It's broken, many broken links. So all you did is you invited people to see your mistakes or your non-functional solution. So the first impression, you make it more difficult for you to get them back. They will not come back again. So instead of doing that, you have to, I advise you to really work on the product market fit, to listen to your first 100 or 1,000 customers, because you need to get back to the work and fix the problems that you haven't fixed, and then until you reach a moment that you can really tell everyone that I have a very good product, come and download it, and you ensure that they're gonna like it.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And apart from that, what advice, so if you were speaking to startup founders just starting out, what advice would you offer them?
Many people focus on funding, especially nowadays, and they forget the real problem. It's all about the problem and the solution in the beginning. And if you don't think of that, you will not have a competitive advantage, because many people do. Even if you find a problem and solution, make sure you have people who have that problem. For example, going back to the voice sharing app, for me it was a problem, for one of my friends is a problem. For many people it wasn't a problem. For everyone it's not a problem. It is a problem, enough people need that problem.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Thank you very much, Saleh. Now I'd like to open the floor to questions.
Hello. Excuse me, my question will be bilingual, Arabic English. عندي سؤال من الشقين لحضرتك. أول سؤال، لما أسست الأب، أنت جاي من خلفية تقنية، كيف تعاملت ما عندك أي علم أو مهارات تشغيلية؟ كيف تعاملت مع موضوع العمل اللوجستي وهالأمور العمليات، سواء حضرتك أو السيدة عمر شريكك؟ وكيف تعاملت مع الناس اللي خلينا نقول العمالة اللي بتستلم الاوردرز من الاب، لانه بعض اصحاب الابلكيشن بيشتكوا انه العمالة او الكول سنتر او الشخص اللي بيستلم الاوردرات ما بيكون مثقف كفاية او فاهم كفاية كيف يتعامل مع الابلكيشن. هذا اول سؤال. ثاني سؤال، هل بما انه انتم الابلكيشن تبعكم خلينا نقول اتس تكنولوجي بيز، هل بتعتمدوا على أي تقنيات أو algorithm لحتى تحللوا البيانات أو الداتا وتقدروا تاخذوا فكرة واضحة عن اليوزر اكسبيرينس وكيف تقدروا توظفوها في تسويق للفندرز اللي عندكم؟ بلس هل فكرتوا أنتم تعملوا مثل ما نقول partnership أو collaborations مع وكالات السيارات؟ كطريقة جديدة لترويج الألعاب.
وكانت سيارات نبتدي من آخر شيء. We talked to some of them about collaboration. It's just a collaboration partnership, like we do with some banks, some companies. We collaborate in serving their clients or employees, like giving them services and discounted watches. The second question was how to deal with the data and analysis of the data. We set up many tools to collect data from the customers and also to collect behavioral data of what users are doing within the platform and where the leakage is. How many people visited the app but not placed an order. We have enough data to analyze and out of that we make them features or solutions for the problems we have. Sometimes we discover, let's say, a feature that was not working because we haven't designed it properly in the UI, in the interface. So we go back to the UX and UI designer and talk to him and try to enhance it. There was one more question.
أول سؤال كان كيف تعاملت مع نقص المهارات التشغيلية، يعني تتعامل مع everyday tasks، إدارة المشروع أو إدارة الأوردرز، وتاني السؤال كيف تتعامل مع العمالة اللي عنده نقص أو وعي تقني بالتعامل مع الأمر، كيف بتفهموه بتدربوهم شو بعملوا؟
All our partners on Ghaseel, I mean the car wash companies, they're people like us, they're educated and they know how to use technology. By developing an app that's really easy to use, everyone knows how to use an app, but that's not enough. By developing an app that is very quick to use and doesn't take efforts to take it from your pocket and to input or read the things you want to get out of the app. We don't deal with the workers themselves. We talk to the manager of the company, we send them orders and they deal with their stuff. That's how we deal with them. And yes, I am a techie person in college, in KU, but I studied MIS, which allowed me to study also marketing, accounting, finance, and economics. And I found that very useful for me to study the business. Thank you.
Any other questions?
A really interesting presentation and heart to heart you are sharing, and really thankful to you. I would like to ask you, have you done a net promoter scores for your customers, who are extremely happy and also not extremely not very happy? And have you dealt any angry customers and who doesn't like to get into your service, things like that? Have you faced such situation? And have you done any mystery shopping, like have you randomly picked up someone and then checked things like that?
Yes, for sure we get some angry customers. 99% not because of us, because we try to accurate the system in sending the orders to the companies. But like in any company or logistics or food delivery, sometimes your order gets late or something is missing from the order. By having a rating system that customers can rate every company after the service and can write whatever they want, we can know that every day we have maybe one person who's not happy. Most of the time we make him happy because we are a platform. If he is not happy with one company, he could be happy with another one. Companies who are not doing good at all, if we get 3 problems after each other, we talk to them, and most of the time, if they are really not doing good, and they don't want to enhance, we tell them we cannot work with you. Because we're trying much harder to get customers, and we're not willing to lose those customers. And there are enough good companies to order from. Yeah. Thank you.
How big do you think is the disadvantage for people who don't have a background in app development? And how do you know you're dealing with the right people and going in the right direction?
First of all, I'm lucky that I develop apps myself. I receive many calls from my friends who are willing to develop apps, and that's the most annoying problems for them, is how to find the right developer or the right company to develop my app, a freelancer or a company. It's not easy if your company is built on, if your core business is the platform itself. It's not something on the side you do it. If your company is basically a platform that's ongoing and will be running forever, you need to spend the most, yeah.
So what's the difference between what you just said, the main platform and the ongoing business?
I mean, sometimes if you have a clinic, let's say, you receive appointments from calls from visitors, and part of it is from the website or the app you have. Maybe it makes 10% of your appointments are coming from the app. It's not your main business. This way, I would say you could you could ask a company to develop that website, and you get a contract with them to do the maintenance. But if your whole business is like a food delivery or Ghaseel or anything like that, in our case, half of the team is developers. We hire them, we pay them to stay and not to move quickly from the company, because it is the main asset for your company. So I would highly recommend, if you have a co-founder who, if he's not developing himself, at least he knows how to deal with developers. Because if you don't have that, you will never know if their work is good. If he tells you, if the developer tells you this will take 6 months development or 3 months, if you have to use this programming language or that one, should you do a native app or a web-based cross app that works in Android and iPhone? All of those, it's better if you can educate yourself. It will take time, and many people did that, have successful companies now. But I would highly recommend to have someone in the beginning with you who understands technology.
My question is, what is the average range to have as a capital to develop an app? Or to start a business with an app?
You mean how much would it cost?
Yes.
If you take marketing out of the calculations and the office rent and those, you can calculate them. For me, it's all about the expense or the cost of the salaries of the developers, because we do everything in-house. It's the salaries of the developers. Our other cases, you have to talk to other companies, developing companies. Maybe some people from here have development companies. They have to pay their salaries and make profit out of that. So it could be a bit higher. But if you're building it for, let's say, 3 months development and then maintenance, yes, you don't have to hire. But if you will keep developing and releasing a new feature and removing another one, make more platforms, website, Android, iPhone, in this case, it's the salary of your developers. It could range from 500 to 1,000 average.
had a question. Yeah. Or Spanish, by the way.
الحين إذا السوشيال ميديا الميديا والديجيتال الماركتينج شلون راح يصير بعدين؟ إذا ما كان في سوشيال ميديا يعني شلون راح يشوفون الماركتينج كغسيل مثلا أو كأبلكيشن شلون؟ الديزاينز أو اللوجوز أو الجرافيك ديزاين والبوست يعني شلون سويت الفكرة؟ من وين جت الفكرة يعني؟ البوست يعني تكون كذي ولا لها ايديا لازم تكون كونسيومر يعني كونسيومر بيس يعني يعطيكم العافية.
So level marketing, we don't rely on heavily on social media because we believe that if you get influencers to talk about your product, you can easily get 10,000 downloads in one day by paying 2 influencers. And millions of people see it. But we focus on when we get those people to download our app. How many of them would keep using the app or place the first order? So it doesn't matter how many downloads, it matters, but this is the second layer of seeing it. It's about how many people downloading it and how many people keep using it and how frequent and how much they are paying you. This will make you think of how much marketing you could spend because you know the lifetime value of each customer. The retention rate is really important. If you know that this customer is going to give you 100 KD in a year, we're ready to pay him a free wash in the beginning to ask him to try us instead of going into the social media and make everyone download the app. And the second question is the design of the logo.
Sorry, the logo or the app?
Yeah, the logo is post in Instagram. يعني شو الفكرة اللي سويتوها عشان يعني مثلا فكرة البوست ولا مثلا؟
Okay. The logo, I remember we wrote a list of maybe 200 names of Ghaseel, and Ghaseel was the least creative name at that time. What do you do, Ghaseel? Okay. So when we designed the logo, we thought of also a non-creative way, yet it is an effective way because when you see the logo, you would know what we do. It's the location, a car and drops of water coming from up. It represents location and a car wash, basically. And designing the posts on Instagram, yes, we use social media, but not heavily. We're not really focusing on that. So every time we have a theme, and the last theme we decided to make it pictures of apps of cars and people who wash it fully. No design. It's just a picture to represent the real service. I'm not an expert in social media design. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. First of all, I'd like to thank you for making this session happen. I actually have so many questions, but I'll try my best to limit them to maybe 2 questions for now. So at the beginning of this session, you talked about the laundry app idea, and you talked about how you guys paused for a while maybe, and then 3 or 4 startup companies got into the market. So my question is, do you think you should be the one who takes the initiative, the one who first offers a service or a solution to this problem in the market to be more successful? That's my first question. My second question
Which problem?
Like for example, the laundry problem.
Okay.
And my second question would be, when you first started Ghaseel, did you make profits? Did you get to the point where maybe you can offer your services to your partners or the companies that you work with, maybe for free or for like a low value or something like that. Thank you. Do you think that you have to be the pioneer of the whole thing, like the first one who offers this service, for example, the laundry service? Do you think that you should be the first one to be more successful?
Okay.
Because you said you abandoned the idea of
Yes.
the competitors. So do you have to be the first to succeed, or?
No, not necessarily. First mover advantage is not always an advantage. But finding some competitors at that time is one of the factors that we stopped for. We thought that the margin you can take out of the laundry was not as good as car wash. That was one of the reasons. And the car wash was, we were sure that we would be the first to do it. And within 2 or 3 months we launched.
So you thought that since there isn't any car wash services or like an e-commerce platform for car washes in the market, that would give you the upper hand in the market, right?
Yes, exactly.
And you were worried about the other competitors in the laundry business, right?
I haven't started yet. It's not about worrying, it's about having different opportunities in front of me. One is the car wash, one is laundry, and some other stuff like opening a gym. At that time I was thinking of opening a gym. So I had to work on one at that time. And for me, the car wash was the most promising for me. And the second question is,
Did you take commission from your the companies that
Is
you
it
work with at the
profitable or
beginning?
not?
Yeah. Did you,
okay, yes.
did you charge them at the beginning, or
No.
did you have to, give them that service for free to prove that it's working?
The way we got companies to join Ghaseel and offer their services is in the beginning, we told them, you don't have to pay anything. What's the percentage of your orders are not filled? Let's say someone has 2 trucks, 2 cars. One of them is full and the second one is not full. He's 50% full. We tell them, okay, offer this 50% on our app and don't pay us anything. If you receive an order, we deserve our 15% or 20%. Otherwise, you don't have to pay us anything. So we found that worked really good because there's no reason of losing the 50% capacity. And our company in technology or platforms like Ghaseel, you need to decide if you want to be profitable and cut costs and all the revenue, cut the cost and be profitable, or you expand and spend a lot in marketing, in hiring, in building, in going to different markets like Khalij, Saudi, Emirates. We can be profitable, yes, but we decided to grow and spend more on growth.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Congratulations first that in the world where now everybody's looking for funding, you have bootstrapped your company and started. So that's a great achievement in especially this part of the world. What I want to ask is that since you have been successful in Kuwait, what are your plans for growing out globally? And my second bit is that since your model is successful, what are you doing for either patenting it or applying for some IPs or something, intellectual property, securing that?
And the second question?
The second question is that since your model is successful, are you patenting your business model because your developers and everything is here and you are owning the source code? And are you doing something about the IP, intellectual property?
About internationally, if we want to expand out of Kuwait, yes, for sure. From day one, we designed the platform to be able to expand and to be able to work in any city we want to go to. And this is happening now. And the second question is the rights of the intellectual property. We don't really think a lot about this. I think we will waste time in thinking of that. It's not a real problem for us. It's not about the code only. It's about the brand you have, the customers you have along the years. You build a relationship with your customers who come again and again. About how you solve the problems in your platform. There are some details that your competitors not necessarily know, and you got to know them because you faced many thousands or hundreds of thousands of orders. So it got evolved and got solved. Yes, we have the trademark registered, we have Maktaba al-Watani registered our code. It's just something we did it because it's easy.
One last question. Anyone?
I know you mentioned you went with the bootstrapping as opposed to self-funding or receiving any funding. Can you elaborate on that? Why did you make this decision? Had you taken, let's say, a considerable amount of investment in the beginning? Do you imagine that you will be much larger now, or imagine it will be better if you bootstrapped it the way you did?
No one would say no for money, that's for sure. I think because in the beginning, the most of the cost you have in building a tech startup is the cost of building the platform, the development. That thing I handled myself. So all of that cost is gone away. Another thing is we wanted to make sure that we add value to the company before we go to an investor and present our company, because the more if you have enough runway and you can operate without receiving funding or without selling equity of your company, it means you're adding value for yourself, so you could ask for more for less equity in the future. The dangerous thing about this is if you are sacrificing growth by having that cash, there's a problem, because you're okay with being small by not selling your some equity, because you don't want to get a smaller equity, but you're losing some growth. In our case, we thought of Ghaseel as it wasn't a disruptive model. It's not like something everyone would use from the first few months or first year. So we didn't need it in the beginning. But everything changed now.
Okay, thank you very much, Saleh, for being with us. And I'd also like to thank you all for coming, as well as to thank Tap Payments, who are our partners in providing these programs, as well as KFAS, the Kuwait Foundation for the Advancement of Sciences, who are a supporter of the Startup Grind event. And I'd like to end with the 3 primary values of Startup Grind, which are making friends, not contacts, giving, not taking, and helping others before helping yourself. So these are the values of Startup Grind to help build a supportive community. And one final announcement, we have a digital marketing workshop that's taking place in January. We'll be flying in 2 instructors from New York City who are professionals in the field of digital marketing. So if you already have a business and you want to help it grow, or you want to experiment with ideas through digital platforms, I'd highly encourage you to sign up. Thank you very much, and